Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen. Good morning and welcome to the second day of the conference. Who was at the mingle yesterday and has a deeper voice like me? Perfect. I hope you had a good time. We hope you had a good time also to talk. What's the definition of Agile for you personally? But we start with you all that we are kindly ask you to get up. Yes, I'm the guy always trying to wake you up. So, and what you do is pretty easy. You turn to your left or your right neighbor and you say, "Hi, I'm Phil. What's your name?" Perfect. So many Phils in the room. That's nice. And ask. No, it's not over yet. I'm the only one who can. Oh yeah, sorry. Ask the person, what's your definition of Agile in one sentence? So, thank you very much. Okay, well, of course there's chatter and discussions going on. Thank you. Thank you. You can sit down. That's enough exercise for today. Maybe. So, what's for you the definition of Agile?
Being Agile is for me having adaptation and flexibility.
Okay. For me, is it having fun at work? So how can this fit like in an umbrella? How can our both things can fit in our umbrella? And this will be the morning session. So Agile, right? Everybody knows it. Sometimes you have discussions about Agile, but when you talk to the other person, you're thinking like, That's not what's Agile about. That's something completely different. Or has this guy or this girl ever heard about the Agile Manifesto or real discussions? The thing is, we humans have, in my opinion, two, let's say, disadvantages to find an agreement. So who can tell me what's there? Yes, you're all right, because I've got the guy who knows this, and he says that's 6, right. So I know my definition of Agile, and then sometimes another guy comes and says, it's 9. Who is right? Okay, good. Okay, you have seen the comic, so okay. Ah yeah, there seems to be something weird going on here. That's me. So, just because you're right doesn't mean that I am wrong. You just have seen like the argument or life or whatever from my side. So in this example, it's really, really easy because we all know it's either 6 or 9, and we can step like one step above and see here the point. That's the first thing. So if you have a discussion with somebody else, it could be that you just haven't looked from the other perspective. That's one thing we can do as Homo sapiens, that we are able to try to understand things from a different perspective. The second thing that makes it so difficult is 6 and 9 is clear. It's either 6 or 9, or these idiots need to talk more, so we can get this example. But if we talk about Agile, it gets more complicated. So I always try, when I try to explain Agile in a different way, I try to explain it with courage. Does somebody know of you what courage is? Thank you. Okay, I won't ask you, so don't stay calm. But the thing is, it's very difficult to explain what courage is, and if people start explaining it, well, there was a situation like this. There was a situation like that. So we are going back to the situation and describe something that's courage. But we still have the point of perception and perspection. So let's try some courage here. Please stand up again. So, I will play a short song, yeah? Maybe you know it. Okay. So, sorry, need to go back to old school. Can we make it a bit louder? So, the guys or girls who don't know the song, please sit down. Okay, the lazy people are okay. And of course, you know what happens now, right? Thank you very much. You can sit down. The thing is now, if you have a moderator on the conference, is this courage, the situation, or is it just stupidity? It doesn't fit on a conference. Who decides it? Every one of you, from your perspective. And that's the same thing with agility. When I have discussions, it's sometimes you can reduce it to one sentence. Some people can even reduce it to one word, what agility really means. But we have the topic of our conference, the future of Agile. So we can use to talk to each other in the breaks, during the coffee, or if we have no interesting talks, what we don't think, but if it happens, you can talk and shape together the future of agility, or what Agile means. And if you have a discussion, you have simply two options. If the other one has a definition where you think, okay, that's completely crap, I cannot live with it, you can say no, or you can have an argument against it, and you can say, well, thank you very much, see you next year. The second option is that you have is, if you hear definition of Agile and you have the reaction of no, you can actually answer it with why. Why do you think that way? And you start to get from the 9 to the 6 and understand the other person. Well, what then can happen is either you find an agreement about the definition or you don't. If you don't, I give you one bonus option that's possible. In German, one famous brain researcher said, you can do a Zweinigkeit. You can, in English, agree to disagree. The thing is, we human, if we disagree with somebody, it's more likely that we afterwards don't like the person so much. But if we agree, it's more possible that we like the person. So I would invite you, if you have a discussion, at least try to agree to disagree. Then you have an agreement and you like each other more, probably. It doesn't work with everybody, but with the most ones. And so now what's agility? Agility is like an umbrella. Because I have got my experiences with agility. I've got my practices as a Scrum Master which worked, which don't. I have my certain type of company where I worked in. That's the field. Yesterday, we had the 3 organizers on stage, and they were like explaining what agility means. And there are 3 companies in 3 different areas. So keep in mind, if we want to shape the future together, there's always a different perspective. And instead of saying no, you can say why. So, and now it's time for our sponsors and partners, but this time I won't rap again. Thank you very much. This time I would invite all the people who are seeing their logo here up on stage, please. Yes, now. So, Boris Gloger, Computerwelt, Netconomy, Agile experts, please come up on stage all together. And a big applause for these people, because without our sponsors and partners, it would not be possible. So, a long, long list, and you have now the possibility to say like 1 or 2 sentences about your company, and we are grateful that you sponsor our event. Please.
We are a service company, and we jump into each opportunity and challenge, and we love to be here.
Perfect.
So we are an agile consultancy based in Germany and Austria, and we offer a wide range of trainings and with certification possibility. And please come and visit us at our stand if you want to find out more. So sorry, I'm from Boris Gloger. I haven't even mentioned my company.
Hello, I'm from Agile Consulting. We support companies to transform their processes on an agile way. We make trainings, we support our customers with consultancy, and I'm very happy and proud to be here. Thank you very much.
There are a few of us on here, so you will hear a lot. XIO, digital agency, just come and check out our website, ecx.io.
It's fun to work in XIO. Join us.
Netconomy, software and consulting, e-commerce. Come in and check out our website.
I agree, you should check out our website. It's because we make the best web shops out there.
Well, also from XIO, you can also visit us in our booth just up there.
Hello, I'm from Netconomy. Nothing special to add.
Okay. Hi, I'm Manuela von der Freiräume, and I think all those cool networks and conferences have worked together, and so I can give to the next cool conference. So thanks to be here.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ralph. I'm representing Agile Vienna, and we invite everyone to submit proposals, and you might repeat your session there. Looking forward to see you in Vienna in October.
Well, I'm also part of the XIO family, and we would like to welcome you over there, and so that you can get to know us a little bit better.
I'll make it short. XIO, Christoph is my name.
I'm also part of Netconomy. Thank you.
Also part of Netconomy. Great to be here. Great to be a sponsor of this great event, and thanks for that.
I'm representing the Scrum User Group Graz. We're the Agile community here in Graz, and we do have a monthly meetup and an Agile facilitation lab in September. So come and visit us.
Hi, my name is Christoph from the Less Austria user group, and we meet each other every second month in Graz to discuss scaling questions and Agile questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, what changed today? We still got the same tracks. The technical excellence is now today moved to the 7th floor. In the Erzherzog Johann Zimmer. This means you have an elevator which just has the button 6, and then you have stairs where you can go up to the 7th floor. If somebody has disabilities or is not capable of going upstairs, at our info booth, they will help you. There is a key for a secret elevator. But just for people who really need it. Then we don't have a hands-on track today, we have a less track. So one room is completely about more or less, and the teams from the people from Team Amazing are today here. They do their own raffle. They have the maze race. Maybe you have noticed it, maybe not. But when you see like people screaming, laughing, having fun, it's a good indicator that's them. And we have the coaches clinic. And where is the head of the coaches clinic? Dietmar, I have just one question, because we want to be agile. You see, different perspective. I have no clue what you do, because I am started as a programmer, now I'm a Scrum Master, and I talk to people. Well, you studied this. You are a professional
psychologist.
So how can you support like the community and help people?
That's an individual question. So if anyone wants to know what a psychologist thinks about special problems, special items, special thing you want to know, come over to the EPU launch. Maybe you saw the pinboard over there. There are slots. You can pick a time slot and post your question over there. And for the interested coaches, they support us with their time. They can also have a look to the questions, and maybe they say, okay, maybe we had this situation 3 years ago, and it would be good for me to know what I know now, and I can give it to the person. So this is a self-organization offer, so it's good for you to use it. It's up to you. And I will always be around in this area, so you can also ask me as a psychologist. Because the most school systems, when you're a young person, you go to school, you're 10, 12, 11 years old, you have to decide. Either you go the technical way, or you go the humanistic, the social way. Yeah? This is a separation. And I'm an experienced coach, as team coach, very different fields, non-technical areas. And recently I discovered what agility, how it develops, how it grows, you know. And now the branches meet, they grow, and so I can say, hi friends, I'm from the other side, but you know. But I see, maybe I have a different culture, maybe I have a different wording. I see, I see the framework of agility, and I can fill it with Inhalt, with content. You know, I have a different approach, but we meet at the same point. This is really very interesting development, yeah. And I like to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dietmar. It also sounded like you bring a different perspective on the same thing. So if somebody sees a 9, you can show them maybe the 6. Perfect. Or even both. You're even better than I thought you were. Whoa. Then later today we have our panel discussion with 6 people of our community. Erich Buhler is hopefully today. Yeah, because yesterday I made a fool out of myself. Is where Erich is like, whoops. Yeah. Welcome to our conference. Then Ian McKenna, we know you already from yesterday. Then Elisabeth Richter, Katharina Seke, Veronika Kotpa und Ralf Mirka. Thank you very much that you're joining on our panel discussion. We will prepare the best question you have ever heard. And of course, we will be interested in your definition of agility. About the raffles, the Cheap IT raffle already ended. The books were gone. Hopefully you were all answering the question and not just taking the books from the stand. Then we've got still Apos going till 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Bearing Point, the estimation game is still running. We will have then the on stage, die Preisverleihung. Thank you. And today, this teamazing here, we have the best team who can perform there. So they are a team building company with like very creative way that teams can work together. It's more like you have to work together, otherwise you will hurt yourself and fall off. It's the maze race. Find it, search it, get 3 other persons, so you need to be a team, have fun, and the guys or girls with the best time will win a book package with 5 books, where even the new book from Erich Buhler, the world premiere here at our conference, is there. And of course, we still don't collect your data. I'm going to be raffling 2 books today. You want to raffle 2 books today? And you're telling me it's now? I wasn't here yesterday. Yeah, I know, I missed you. Okay. Later, please. Thank you for the interruption, but later, please. So I have 5 minutes left, and I want to spend this time to another guy who already arrived here. In the terms of courage and agility, there's very often also transparency. Well, we are a huge self-organizing HR conference. Mistakes happen. And let's say we are transparent. Well, Jurgen, we are sorry. There was no cab at the airport tomorrow. And it was pretty simple, just a miscommunication in the team. So far, so good, the transparency. But being agile is also the next step. Yesterday, when we got the information, some thoughts creeped up in my mind. It's like, who was talking? Can we narrow it down which were the words? Yeah, who really wrote it? And then I was thinking, no, that's not the way. That's maybe the old way. And agility sometimes reminds me to be a better person of myself. Reminds me how I want to be. Because we have all these nice sayings, yeah, working together, self-organized, being more transparent, having a culture of mistakes where mistakes are not even more there. But this means also working on ourselves. So of course, I talked with our product owner what to do, and he said, well, it's my responsibility. Thank you very much. So I got it off my chest. Just wanted to show you, of course, mistakes happen, and sometimes we need to work on ourselves. So thank you very much. This was from the morning, and I give the word to somebody who is managing happiness, hopefully already for many years. He's shifting teams in better shapes, and even if they have bad shapes, he can shift the teams. Anyway, Jurgen Appelo, very, very welcome on the Agile Austria here.
Checking, is this working? Checking, yep, you hear me? All right, perfect. So let me first check the sound, because when we switch HDMI back and forth, this is an issue. And sometimes, yeah, you see, this is not working now. Open sound settings. Oh man. You see, and now it lost the HDMI. It is always the same thing. It was working, and then you take the thing out and you put it back in, and then it lost the HDMI connection.
Bitte warten. Bitte warten. Es ist förderlich für Ihre Gesundheit, sich über Tonbandansagen nicht aufregen. Bitte warten.
Bitte warten.
Perfect. Sorry, Jurgen, right?
Yes, Jurgen. Oh man, it doesn't work. And the sound was working fine. All right, good. So, we're going to reset the... I hate this. So, we're going to reset this, because it will find the HDMI again when I reboot Windows.
You know, the good thing is...
In the meantime, we're going to do the Macarena, all right? Hello, Phil. It's good to see you. So I appreciate your apology for yesterday. As I said, I was not mad. I just noticing someone said there will be a taxi for you, and there was no taxi for me. Well, someone needs to know this, that this is a discrepancy in expectations. And actually, I had promised myself to say, no, it's very kind of people to offer to pick me up from the taxi. But once I was in Colombia, and the people who were supposed to pick me up, they were stuck in traffic somewhere. And once I was in Toronto, and the people who were picking me up, they picked other people up first from the airport, and they were delayed. So I had to wait for an hour after a 10-hour flight while other people were being picked up. And I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's just, and then I said, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. I knew it. It's, there's always something. So I'm not complaining. It's just, of course. And
So,
let me check if it has, because otherwise we're just going to do it without sound, because real tech, fuck, okay, whatever. Yeah, maybe you can get it to work on the other machine in the meantime. This is so annoying. You saw the sound work before half an hour ago. Okay. Anyways, so we are going to switch to another computer where the sound works, hopefully.
YMC works.
YMC works, yep.
This one?
Yep. All right. And, yep. Perfect. And then we use this one.
Let's see if this works.
Ta-da. Yeah, I think it works. That was not in my presentation, but I think it's fine. Okay. At least the sound works. That's a relief. Thank God. Taxis don't work, but the sound works here. You maybe know me from some of these books that I wrote. Did you know since yesterday this one is available in German language? Ooh, I'm so happy. Thank you, Mike Leber and Jurgen Dietmar and others who put a lot of effort into that. I look forward to seeing a copy of that. I travel around the world all the time, and I speak with lots of people at conferences, and I get questions from people wherever I go. Let me do the test. I do the test everywhere. How many of you are familiar with this question? How do we motivate our people and improve engagement? How many recognize that question? Almost everyone. Okay, so how many of you recognize this question? Do I have to stand here? Maybe. Now it's working. Maybe I should not go too far away from the computer. Okay. How do we scale agile practices and principles to large organizations? How many of you recognize that question? Almost everyone, right? And I think I skipped one. No, I didn't skip one. This one. How can we grow faster and change faster and be agile at the same time? We want to be innovative and productive. We want everything, Jurgen. How many of you recognize that question? You're not special. Everyone has the same question. Everywhere around the world, everyone, same question. And that's good. That's good in a way, because I mean I can do the same keynote everywhere. That's nice. But there is something going on here. People tell me all the time, there's not enough change. There's not enough change here. And I noticed that myself. I write books and I do speaking and I develop workshops and everything, and I borrow lots of ideas from many sources, and then people tell me nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Great ideas, but they're not working in our company. And then some people say, oh, jeez, okay, I'll have to stand here. Then some people, they say that it's not enough change, and the organizational culture is at odds with Agile values. This is from the State of Agile report by CollabNet version 1. They deliver this every year. The biggest obstacles to adopting Agile is the organizational culture is at odds with Agile values. The culture doesn't fit what we expect with Agile teams. And then number 2, a general resistance to change. So this has been at the top of that list for 12 years already. That's pretty static, sadly. People resist change is what I hear all the time. And then, of course, the Agile coaches and consultants in the room say, no, people resist being changed. There's a subtle difference there, but the outcome is the same. There's no change. So that's interesting. But how many of you have resisted this change? Smartphones. How many of you have still not adopted smartphones? Let me see. Everyone. All right, okay. How many of you have never played games before on Facebook or tablets or board games or whatever? No game, no, nothing. 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 hands go up. Oh, interesting. How many of you have never used streaming audio or video? No Spotify, no Netflix, no iTunes, nothing. Just reading a book or something, paper. Right? The last one. You're the last ones on the planet. It's amazing. Resistance is futile. So plenty of change has been happening. I think anyone who says that people resist change is just oh, I'm sorry about that. This has to be incognizant. Sorry, that's difficult language, English. Incognizant. That means that people don't know how change works. It's difficult getting other people to change their behaviors. I know that. And that's my first observation from traveling the world. We all want agility at scale, but very few people know how to get ideas from one person to the other and have those ideas stick. We're all shouting great practices at each other, basically. And then very little happens. And oops, that went too fast. But this is an interesting result. I think I did a bit of digging around across the trend reports of Boston Consulting Group and Accenture and Deloitte, and they all do their own research into workplace trends. And they come up with the same things, obviously. And one thing that came up everywhere was organizational agility. It is definitely not an IT thing anymore. All the CEOs around the world want their organizations to be more agile. It was on the front cover of Harvard Business Review just 2 months ago. Well, that means that it's done, right? That's proof, evidence. They finally took notice after 16 years. So it is an important thing nowadays. Let me discuss what I think is necessary to get there. It's a story that takes a while. Let's see if the sound works. Come on, yeah, come on. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it. The video doesn't work. Amazing, amazing. The sound doesn't. Oh my God, this is. All right. Well, if there's no sound and no video, then I can just switch back to the previous one. Amazing. Yeah, it doesn't play video in this. This is Apple, of course, even worse than Microsoft. at least with Microsoft, I get video, no sound, but. Is it working? Click, yeah? No, okay, so let's switch back. Okay, I'll just mime the sound or something. I'll just mime the sound or something. Thank you. That's it was worth a try. It was worth a try. So we go to here. Da, 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 oops. Yeah, and then we take this one. Yep. Ah, remember this one? Yes, was Baba Papa, right. Baba Papa was amazing, wasn't he? He could change into any form. Sometimes he was a circle, and sometimes he was a square. Amazing! Amazing! Yeah, he could escape from the zoo where he was captured, and that was fascinating. I remember, how old were we? 4 years or something like that? 5 years? A long time ago. It was super popular in Western Europe. I noticed in Eastern Europe they have no idea what I'm talking about. In Poland and in Ukraine. This one, you've probably seen this before. Odo, indeed, from Deep Space Nine, right? What species? No. Changeling. Quark was Ferengi, right? And the changelings were part of the Dominion. Indeed, we have an expert over here in the room. And the Dominion were a bit nasty, weren't they? Yes, they were. They wanted all the other species in the whole galaxy to look up to them, and otherwise they would blast their planets from space. They were sort of United States in space, you could say. So yeah, it was not a kind federation kind of thing. So, but Odo was a nice one. He was a nice one. He was a security agent on the space station, and he could change into any form, being a changeling. And it's nice to be a changeling when you're a security agent. He was always after Quark, who was smuggling things. And sometimes Odo was a chair, sometimes a vase, but always trying to catch Quark. You probably have seen this guy before. That was the T-1000, very good. Yes, from Terminator 2, still the best movie, of course, of the series. And he was a shapeshifter. Sometimes he was solid as steel and punched someone through the face. You remember that scene? Oh my God, it was ghastly. And at other moments, he was dripping from the ceiling behind somebody's back. Very scary. So that's a metaphor for me. The metaphor of shape-shifting. I think it applies to organizations. Here's another one. She is Mystique from X-Men, indeed, also a shapeshifter. Did you know, that's Jennifer Lawrence, of course, did you know that she gets paid $20 million for walking around naked? It's amazing. I get nothing, I tried. I did not try blue, I admit. Next time, I'll try blue. Yeah, so I think shape-shifting is a nice metaphor for organizations. You have to have the right shape in the right moment and the right time, because it depends on context. It depends, the magic words for all consultants around the world. So for me, in the 21st century, successful organizations need to be hard and soft, fast and slow. It depends on context. You have to shape-shift all the time. That is, I think, the ideal, the dot at the horizon for organizations, to be a shape-shifter. How do we get there? Well, that means that ideas have to be introduced more easily in an organization, adopted more easily by people, because we'll have to go back and forth more quickly as an organization. So we have to look into that. Some examples of people who are trying with best efforts, holacracy, I'm sure some of you are familiar with this framework. I would say it is 90% self-organized, 90% liquid, and maybe 10% control, 10% concrete. Because people have circles, they conform themselves and decide which circles to take part in. But there is a constitution of 40 pages that says how to do governance meetings, etc. That is pretty controlled, top down. So there is 10% control there. Another example, the Spotify model that I'm sure you are familiar with. Everyone in Europe wants to do the Spotify model, except at Spotify. They say, don't do this. we're just sharing what we did in the past. They keep evolving, but it is inspiring, of course. It is inspiring because there is plenty of self-organization there. But there's also control. It's just not emphasized, but there's plenty of control at Spotify. Do you know where the tribe leads come from? They are assigned by managers. There's command and control. You lead that tribe. That's how it works. It works doing things that way. And then, oh my God, the scaled agile framework. Sorry, I'm not trying to say anything negative about SAFe. It's actually full of good ideas. They do the same thing as I do. Just steal practices from everywhere, right? It's good stuff on that slide. The problem is, for me, this is a static picture. That is my issue with SAFe. It is not something that evolves every day and shapeshifts all the time. It's as if this is a picture of Odo in the middle of a transformation from being a dog to being a toilet, right? You cannot play with it, you can't shit on it either. You can do nothing with it, basically. I would like something that evolves all the time. That is my ideal for frameworks. So I think that's what I want for organizations. The goals change all the time. We need to know how to shape-shift as teams, departments, organizations. That means we have to be more effective at introducing new ideas, new practices, new habits. That's where we fail, because everyone says, oh my God, nothing ever changes here. Scaling the change. Next observation that I have. Is anyone familiar with this problem? I'm sure you are. Brexit. Yeah. I found out so interesting that they said, we want to take back our autonomy. Remember that? Take back our autonomy. Let me ask you, did the British ask anyone here if it was okay? No, they just said, goodbye, good riddance, bye, we're out of here. But you don't need somebody else's permission for breaking up. You just break up. Right? Screw you. So then if you're able to do that without permission, you already had the autonomy. Duh. Right? You didn't take it back. You already had it. Otherwise, you couldn't have made that decision in the first place. So that's a bit weird, in my opinion. But some people say that's not very smart, because some decisions are better taken in central locations. There is a reason for doing things efficiently in one place, command and control every now and then. I flew here over, I'm sure, 3 countries, sometimes over 7 countries in Europe when it's a bit further away. It is good for airline pilots to know that the laws are the same across continental Europe. That makes a difference, right? Makes it easier. That is a bit of efficiency that we have achieved. So yes, it makes sense to do some things in a central location. The problem, of course, is, and I'm sure you're aware of that, there's far too much in organizations that is centralized, that decisions are made by top managers, etc. And maybe some of you recognize my 7 levels of delegation. Basically, everything that's command and control is over here. And yes, we want more stuff there. We want more self-organizing teams. We want people to decide for themselves which teams they're part of, etc., etc. But then, does that mean that this is agile? Being liquid instead of being concrete? Is that what agile is about? Be liquid all the time? Sometimes I am at Scrum gatherings or Agile conferences, and from the conversations I get the impression that the ideal Agile organization for coaches and consultants there is 30,000 self-organizing, dot-voting hippies. I don't think that's Agile. I think that's anarchy. So there is a reason for doing things command and control every now and then. There's a reason why Richard Branson says all those 400 Virgin companies have the one and the same logo and it is red. I decided. Okay? You cannot make it purple if you are the 402nd Virgin company. There's a little bit of command and control there. So I think this is agility. Being able to shapeshift back and forth. Yes, we need more of this, but sometimes we need to pull back the reins. Okay, now we take a decision centrally, and then maybe the next day we move in that direction again. That would be agile. It would be agile if Britain could decide every year if they wanted to be part of the EU or not. That would be agile, right? But the whole breakup is taking years. Imagine if they want to come back. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about it. That's not agile. So I think we should try not to lose the benefits of control while achieving the benefits of self-organization. Yes, that is for me what agility is all about. It means for me self-balanced, not just self-organized. Self-organization needs to be better balanced with the control, of which we have too much. That I agree with. Framing the change. Did you know that 18 months passed between version 4 and version 4.5 of the Scaled Agile Framework? And 3 years passed between version 2.13 and 2.16 of the Scrum Guide. Oh, they released another version again. So that took only 2 years. Does that sound agile to you, product releases of 2 years? Scrum Guide is a product. It's something that is delivered. So they tell us to be agile, release every week, and they release every 2 years? That makes no sense. Of course, I understand it. I mean, you have to update all those certification programs around the world. My God. That's difficult. But then if it's difficult, shouldn't we be doing it more often? Because some people say if something is painful, do it every day. If continuous deployment hurts, do it every hour. You will quickly learn how to make it not hurt, and then you're agile. So we have to figure out how to deliver a new framework every week. Figure it out. That's, for me, the challenge for the Agile community, in my opinion. And stop releasing them as PowerPoint slides every 3 years. Now, there is this interesting quote in the Scrum Guide by Jeff and Ken that I find interesting. Scrum's roles, artifacts, and rules are immutable. And although implementing parts is possible, the result is not Scrum. Okay? The result is not Scrum if you do only 1 or 2 things. I understand their frustration because, of course, this sentence is in response to things that happened around the world. You know those teams where they do nothing except a 15-minute stand-up meeting in the morning and then they say, we're Scrumming! Woo! Look at us, we're standing in a circle. Standing up. Yes, Scrum. And then they're like, oh my God, no. That's not what we mean with Scrum. So don't call it Scrum. I understand that. Because if you just ran 2 kilometers, you're not saying, I just did a marathon. No, you did 2 kilometers, right? It's good for you. You started with 2 kilometers. Maybe in time you're able to do a marathon. So good for you if you just do a stand-up meeting. You got started. Woohoo, the glass is half full. It's not Scrum yet. So the opposite side, you find other people who are scared to leave essential things out. Oh, it's not Scrum if I only pick this or that. Then they have a tendency of doing everything. And that's the same with Scaled Agile Framework or Holacracy, whatever. They do everything because if we do only half of it, it's not Holacracy. I would agree. You cannot say, I do half of Constitution as a country. That's not what a Constitution is for. You have to abide by all the laws. So, and that's going in the other direction. That's a bit of a problem because also that is not what we want. What we want is pull. We want that framework to be suggestions of good ideas, like your first version of your improvement backlog. And then let's start pulling. to the capacity of the team. What can they do as an improvement this week? Just pull the next item, pull the next item. But people perceive it as push if you draw that entire framework for them on a big slide. So I think methods and framework are great. It's just the packaging is terrible, right? They're full of good ideas. That is why I refuse to call Management 3.0 a framework. I call it a toolbox. I think that is a better word, because then people know that you just pick the tool that you find useful. But with framework, people have more of a tendency to try and do everything. So, big picture frameworks, I think we should turn them into small picture roadworks. Things are under construction all the time. I live in Brussels. It's a living nightmare. Things are under construction all the time. It drives me completely insane. But at least they're improving the city all the time, which is a good thing. Why people change? All right, this is my favorite part. So I was promoting that last book of mine, Managing for Happiness, in the US when it came out. And I remember it well. It was summer 2016. I was sitting at Union Square in New York. People from all over the planet, of course, in New York, different languages and body styles and hair colors, etc. But everyone was playing this game. Pokemon Go. You remember it? It was, the people were talking with complete strangers and talking about what they had on their smartphones, discussing the latest monsters that they had caught. And then everyone said, oh, a Snorlax has just appeared. Run! And then everyone was running for the Snorlax. And I was sitting there and I thought, what the fuck is going on? The world has gone insane. Central parks are full of crowds moving in one direction, then the other, and I was flabbergasted. I had never seen something like that, but I remember it well. It clicked somehow for me, because I thought we are trying so hard as coaches and consultants and speakers and authors to get other people to change their behaviors, and it takes 3, 4, 5 years to get 500 people to adopt Scrum, and then within 3 weeks millions are playing Pokemon Go. It's not fair. How do they do that? I want millions of people to do delegation poker within 3 weeks, but clearly I am doing something wrong. I looked at myself. I thought, I need to learn how they do that with Pokemon Go. And I must admit that the traditional way that we offer change to people often looks like this, right? We have some dude, usually they're dudes in white, sometimes with beard, sometimes not. And they come with these clay tablets full of rules from the framework. And then they say, starting next week, thou shalt honor thy product owner and scrum master. And thou shalt not kill thy customer. I find that one particularly difficult. I can. And then when all is discussed, and now go forth and self-organize, right? And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. The change doesn't stick if you bring it to people like this. It reminds me of a book I read a couple of years ago. I'm a runner nowadays. I try to run 40 kilometers per week, which is, I think, pretty decent. But I started badly. I remember it. I was in Sweden, in Stockholm. I ran 7 kilometers, and everything hurt. I discovered muscles I didn't even know existed in my body. So I had to stop and recover for 1.5 weeks, and I did a bit of reading about body posture, breathing exercises, core exercises, etc. And then I started more slowly. And I read a couple of good books, but I also read this one, The Running Formula. It sounds a bit like an agile formula, right? And it had this, page after page after page after page of instructions, right? So in the third phase, in the second week, on Tuesday, you run 10 kilometers, and then on Wednesday, you run 7, but fast, and then on Thursday, you take a break, and then on Friday, and I was like, oh my God, is this the formula? I needed a drink when I saw that. It's no surprise to me that the author's name is Jack Daniels, as you can see. I think with this book, nobody is doing any running. Everyone is drinking. It's a huge marketing success. So I think we can do better. And if you look at the reasons why traditional change programs fail, you find this with a bit of Googling. There are many issues with change programs. But games work. Pokemon Go worked. And it didn't come with a 2-day certification workshop to get people to adopt the game. So all of the neurological and physiological systems that underlie happiness are fully activated by gameplay, said Jane McGonigal in her fantastically titled book, Reality is Broken. I love that title. And she said, games make us happy. That's why we play games. We feel good when we play games. So let's have a look. What is it that people do in games? Well, here is an example. This is World of Warcraft. On average, people play 22 hours per week World of Warcraft. That's half of a work week. Right? And then what do they do when they play World of Warcraft? Well, they form teams, they do exploration, they find the tools that they need for doing their work, right? And then they start a project and things start blowing up, typical Scrum project, as you can see. And then, oops, there goes the Scrum Master. So they do one iteration after another, they call them quests and projects, etc. And then they run up to the customer, and the customer says, "You're too late," he said. "You're too late." Yeah, but then the customer says, "I challenge you, Tamakra, you get a new project anyway." And then everything starts all over again, next quest. So this is work. This is work that people do. Game developers know better than anyone else how to inspire extreme effort and reward hard work. And you know what's so funny? We pay them for that. Instead of them paying us to do the work. No, we say, here's some money, give me some more work to do, because it was so much fun. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So much work. I think that's inspiring. I think we can learn something from that, and we call that gamification. Applying the insights from why games work to a non-games context. Now, this is subtly different from serious games, right? Like Lego Serious Play or Delegation Poker or stuff like that. Those are games that we play in order to learn something that we can then transpose to our work environment, and hopefully that will help us do better work. But that's not gamification. Gamification is doing your work itself, but then in a way that makes it a bit more fun, as if we're playing a game together. I'll give you some examples. This is a technique called don't break the chain or extend the streak. It's a very simple technique. Everyone uses it in gamification. It just means that people reward themselves for seeing that they did something for a longer and longer time. It's a discipline thing. So if you want your children to brush their teeth in the morning and in the evening, you give them a box of stickers, you give them a calendar, you tell them you can put a sticker on your calendar if you brush your teeth twice. They love it. Adults as well. Adults as well. Jerry Seinfeld was famous for saying that he used this technique for writing great comedy jokes for his award-winning series Seinfeld. He had a don't break the chain technique on his calendar. He ticked the days off his calendar. When he wrote good jokes, he earned a tick mark. Very simple. I have it for my running. Every week I run 40 kilometers, I feel satisfied. My last streak was 13 weeks in a row. I did 40K, and then I took a break. And then I started again, and then I injured myself. So I have to have another break. So that works. That motivates people. Some people, bless you, some people do this badly. They see gamification as a very narrow thing. I was in a session a couple of years ago with someone who said that we have this gamification app for the people in our stores. It was sadly a Dutch company, I have to admit. They said that the employees have an app that motivates them to give each other feedback. And they get points for that. So if you give feedback to her and said, well, you could smile a bit more to customers, ka-ching, you get a point. Woohoo! And then maybe you said to him, maybe tomorrow you could be on time at 9 o'clock instead of 9:20, ka-ching, you get a point. Don't you feel happy now? So I was in the audience, I thought, okay, interesting. I raised my hand at the end and asked, what is the point of the points that we accumulate? Well, the speaker said to be at the top of the leaderboard, because the app shows who has the most points. I said, okay, but why would I want to be at the top of the leaderboard? What's in it for me? Well, this motivates people, he said, that they want to be at the top. I said, okay, this is not going anywhere. I don't care, I said. So, next question I asked, do the managers also participate in this peer-to-peer feedback thing? And he said, no. The managers just look at the data. And I was like, oh my God, I had a Jean-Luc Picard moment. Yeah. It is gamification, true. This is gamification, but a very poor implementation. This is the best model that I found about gamification. It's by Yukai Chu. He is from Korea, from South Korea, I assume, otherwise he wouldn't be able to get out of there. He called this octalysis, and it is very similar to my Champ Frogs model, if you know about it, but I like this one because it is spatial. And what I just told you is in that corner of the diagram, accomplishment. Points, badges, leaderboards, progress bars, giving people a sense of accomplishment. Competition is over there. Yes, that motivates some people, true. My best friend wants to see that she is the fastest runner in the park among the local community there. I don't care, but she cares about that. She wants to see that, being at the top. But if you only do that, this is rather poor implementation. The subtitle of Yukai Chu's book is Beyond Points, Badges and Leaderboards, because he also recognizes that most of the time when people talk about gamification, the first thing they do is come up with a way for people to give each other points. So, oh, maybe you shouldn't start there. There's a lot out there that is also part of games. I'll give you an example. There's this one technique that I stole from a company in Poland called Kudo cards, where there's basically thank you notes that you give to other people in the organization. It works for 8 out of 10 companies, 2 out of 10 it just doesn't stick. So one person told me, Jurgen, we have it in our company, but nobody is writing thank you notes for each other. What can I do? Good question. Well, I was inspired by this book, and I thought, there's this thing called scarcity. People are motivated when things are scarce, when there's not enough of something. Researchers have validated this. When there are 2 cookie jars, one is nearly empty, the other is nearly full, most people want cookies from the nearly empty cookie jar because they're special. They're the same cookies, but there are fewer of them, right? So we take cookies from that jar, except the last one, that would be impolite, right? Except when you're Dutch, you take the last cookie, I can tell you that. It's the best one. There's only one of them. So that motivates us somehow. And I said, what you should do is should make not enough Kudo cards available. Reduce the amount. Don't give people piles of those cards, because that reduces the value. You should give every person just 3 cards. That's it. These are your 3 cards this week. If you lose them, tough luck. You get 3 new cards next week. Use them well, they're precious. It's useless paper. But you offer them as if it's the best thing in the world, right? And then see how many cards are actually being used. I bet that you will see the response rate go up. And this is called magnetic caps. It's a technique in this area, the scarcity area. You just put an artificial cap on something, you limit the availability and says, only 2 seats left in this workshop. There are actually 26 seats left, of course. But you just, only 2 seats left, and scarcity. that motivates us. Same at booking, right? Booking.com. Last room at this hotel. That's bullshit. So, because if you call the hotel, they have 100 rooms available. So that's a magnetic cap. It motivates us. Another example. Someone said to me, Jurgen, we have this Friday afternoon drink, and it's very important for us to get together and socialize, but very few people show up on Friday afternoon. Basically, only the Agile coaches, because they have nothing else to do. So how can I increase the show-up rate of people at the Friday afternoon drink? I said, well, you should do something that makes it fun. How about a silly selfie? I would introduce the ritual of the silly selfie. With the people who are there, we take a selfie that is as silly as we can make it, and then we print it and we put it on the coffee machine or in the kitchen where everyone can see it, and then we do that every week. And the silly selfies, they will start piling up, and people might have an idea for the next silly selfie. Those selfies are not silly. You call that a silly selfie? It's dull. We should take a silly selfie in the CEO's office when he's gone. Good idea. You'll have to be there then, right? So people will join for the honor of taking part in the silliest selfie. When there are 10 photos there, people start noticing that some are never there. Social pressure starts building up, right? You have to be at least at some of those pictures. All of that, of course, is in the social influence area. It's also gamification, the social part. Facebook is heavily focused on that area, on the social connections between people and gamifying that aspect. And all of those are examples of good gamification. Now, of course, there are some people who tell me, for good reasons, Jurgen, I hear extrinsic motivation here. Bad extrinsic motivation. We are Agile coaches. We hate extrinsic motivation. I tell them, relax, okay? Things are not as black and white as Daniel Pink pretends that it is. So, there are scientists who disagree with Decky Ryan and Daniel Pink. Read the book by Stephen Rice, for example. He says the whole intrinsic, extrinsic thing is nonsense. It's a continuous scale, and most of the stuff is actually in the middle. But that will go beyond this talk. To give you an example, I participated when I was 10 years old in the 4-day swimming challenge in my town. And it was very simple. The kids from various schools were invited in the evening to come to this local swimming pool, and you had to do 20 laps every evening. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I did the 20 laps. And it was a decent-sized swimming pool, probably not Olympic, but it felt Olympic, okay? I was 10 years old, believe me. Okay. So I did that 4 evenings. I got my medal, and I went home. Next year, I participated again. I was 11 years old. I did 20 laps on Monday, 20 on Tuesday, 20 on Wednesday, and on Thursday I was so tired. God, I was so tired. And the swimming pool, it was twice bigger than the day before. No idea how that came to be. But after 16 laps, I just couldn't swim anymore, and nobody was paying any attention. The teachers, they were in the bar. They were just looking from a distance. Is nobody drowning? Perfect. They were all drinking. They probably had Jack Daniel's running book. They were drinking it away. I looked around me and I said, okay, screw everyone. I'm getting out of here. Otherwise, I'm dead. So I got out of the swimming pool. I took a shower, I dressed, I grabbed a medal, and I went home. And that medal was burning in my backpack. I felt so ashamed of myself that I took a medal that I did not deserve, because I did not do the 20 laps on Thursday. I did just 16. So ashamed of myself. And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my friends, my parents, anyone. Was everything fine? They said, yeah, everything was fine. Big blush. So next year I participated again. I did 20 on Monday, 20 on Tuesday, 20 on Wednesday, and 24 on Thursday. I kid you not. I earned the medal of that year, and also finally I earned the medal of the last year. So I felt I didn't have to bring it back after all. Now, this is a silly story, but and this is extrinsic motivation, right? Giving people a medal is a useless piece of metal, but it is tied to something that is intrinsic. For me, it was honor and integrity. Right? So it is a complicated thing, this extrinsic and intrinsic thing. What are you aiming for? Of course, some people gamify it and they cheat and then they swim 3 laps and they grab the medal and they don't care. But I cared because that was part of who I was. So, and what part of the model is that? I think it is over there. I think it is this part, meaning, narrative, storytelling, heroism. There's a lot of storytelling in games. Games are boring when there's no story around it. And all of that is at the top. The meaningfulness of why are we playing this game. I've learned to play Pandemic. Any Pandemic players here in the room? It's a great game, right? You're saving the world from diseases. That's the story. That's the meaning of the game. So where is the fun? Where's the adventure in organizational change? I often don't see it. I can't see it in holacracy or SAFe or whatever. It's all very dry. And that is something that we as coaches and consultants and team leaders, etc., should feel responsible for adding that fun part. Where are the celebrations for achieving new skill levels? Where are the quests? Where are the monsters? Where's the storytelling? It's all missing from the traditional change programs. It doesn't look like any fun to me. So we don't need more frameworks, we need fireworks. That's what people want. Not another PowerPoint diagram. How people change. So I told you that nowadays I try to do a bit of running, and that was quite an accomplishment because I hate sports from the bottom of my heart. I was not born to be moving, I am quite sure. My most comfortable position is this. This is how I was born, I am convinced. This is how I feel good. This is how anything else is an effort, okay? So I'm quite proud of the fact that I run nowadays. I had to trick myself in doing that, and this is how I did that. I learned about habit forming. I read at least 5 books on habit forming, the habit forming process. They all refer to the habit cycle with different names, but it comes down to the same thing. First part of getting into a new habit, getting somebody to adopt an idea, a practice, and do it regularly is the trigger. What is the trigger that triggers that behavior? It is already known since the 50s when Kurt Lewin came up with the equation, behavior is a function of a person and his or her environment. And we often focus only on the person and we forget that the environment is a very important factor in their behavior. So some of the books suggested, for example, if you want to learn how to play a guitar, place the guitar next to your favorite chair so that you connect the guitar with your relaxed chair. So you get a coffee, you sit in your chair and you think, oh, my guitar. Maybe I should play a little bit. Make that connection in the environment. One of the running books said, if you want to start running, place your running shoe next to your bed. So when you get out in the morning, you're already in your shoes. The only thing is get out of the house. Maybe pull something on, right? Unless you're Jennifer Lawrence, of course. So make the environment work for you. If I translate that to agile practices, I would say, well, if it is hard to introduce a retrospective, choose an environmental cue that triggers the retro there. It could be a coffee machine, it could be a kitchen, it could be anything, but something where people already are, and then when people are there, that is the moment to briefly do a retro, because you're standing there already, right? That is could be the starting point. for that behavior. The next part of that cycle is the action. And here what I learned is you have to reduce that habit to the smallest possible thing, because that increases the chance that people will be able to repeat it. So don't start running with a 10-kilometer run, because that is too much effort. Some say just a walk around the house is fine. What you're teaching yourself is wearing your shoes and your trunks. They may be optional depending where you live. So just put on your clothes, take a walk around the house, and do that 3 times per week. That's the starting point. And then that's a tiny habit. And then you start building it up. So your first stand-up meeting could be, or first retro could just be near the water tap, water cooler, and you're all there. You're there anyways. And for 2 minutes you discuss something, and oh, well, next we'll do that again. Every time we're standing here, we will discuss, we'll do a bit of a retro or something. Or oh, what's your status? What did you do yesterday? Oh, I'm going to do this today. That's the starting point. That's a tiny habit, and from there you start building it up. Don't introduce something that is big, because it is much more likely that it is not going to stick. Then it has to end with a reward. It has to be either convenient or enjoyable. Because if that small cycle is not enjoyable or convenient, it's not going to be triggered again. We have to associate that trigger with the reward that we're going to get. So every time you take a 2-kilometer walk around the house, you earn a chocolate. That's where the gamification comes in, right? Because the problem is when this cycle is too big, when it is too big of a habit, and there's a delay between the practice and the gratification, people will give up. It takes a while for you to enjoy the benefits of running. Right? You'll have to run 3 times per week, at least 7 kilometers, and then you will start noticing the differences. All that time before, when you're building it up, you're just tired and annoyed. There's no benefit in sight. Why am I doing this, right? And that's why you need that gamification to bridge that difference between the starting point and when you finally achieve the real benefits. And then maybe you don't need the gamification tricks anymore. Or you keep the chocolates as a ritual. It's fun, whatever you want. So that is trigger, small action, and then the reward. This is how all behavioral change basically works. How you get new ideas into the organization. So where are there many small rewards for making small step progress? I just see huge frameworks, big frameworks. Those are not starting points. We should maybe not show people those frameworks. We should keep them hidden. Do you know any game that shows you all the maps and all the rules and everything that's going to happen in the game? No, usually they pull you in with just a very simple first level that is so easy that you feel accomplishment for finishing that stupid first level where you just learn the basic controls of that first level. And then they pulled you in. And then they make it a little bit more difficult in the second level. That's how games work. They don't send you to their class to learn everything that's going to happen in the next couple of 26 levels. Makes no sense. That's your responsibility as a coach. So don't make things a rule. Figure out how to make these small steps a habit. Examples. This is, I'm sure, something you've been waiting for. Let me get a little bit more concrete with a few examples. I'll start with an easy one. I asked my friends online on Twitter, Facebook, do you have examples of gamification tricks that have become a habit on your team? Mario said, for a retrospective sprint meetings, I spin a bottle to define which member of the team will participate next. Spinning a bottle in a meeting, which part of the model do you think that is? Sorry? Unpredictability, obvious. Yeah, this is a giveaway. Yeah, this is the first level. Okay, this is the first level of the game. Just getting into the habit. So unpredictability. The whole gambling industry is focused on this part of the human psyche. Right? We love things that are unpredictable. When there's a button and it says "Don't click it," you want to click it. You want to know what happens? You can't stand the uncertainty. You need to know what happens. So that is the uncertainty, unpredictability is all in that corner. You can use that. You can use that. Next one. If in a project with 3 teams, we had a sprint board for all sprints with different card themes per sprint or per release. Racing cars, superheroes, etc., etc. So themes per sprint, per release. Which part of the model do you think that is? Sorry? You think ownership? Any other guesses? Meaning, yeah. Usually those are the 2 that are mentioned. Yeah, my first guess was meaning, but I also would agree with ownership because a team takes ownership of the naming of the product. But I think the reason why they do that is a bit of storytelling. It's a bit of heroism, narratives. Why? The why is there at the top. So they make it fun with a bit of narrative, adding some narrative to the game. Last one that I thought was pretty funny by my friend Joachim at Spotify. He shared this one. We have a cake limit on our Kanban board. The last column is cake limit is 40. It means that when all the cards have moved to this column, everything is stuck when there are 40 items here. It can only be resolved when the product owner buys us cake. That's the only way to resolve that bottleneck. We want to see cake. So, what part of the gamification model is that? Accomplishment, yes, and another one. Empowerment? Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Scarcity? No, not scarcity, no. I'm surprised nobody comes up with it. Social influence, yeah, social. I mean, eating cake and getting somebody else to buy it, isn't that a social thing? So it's funny. So yeah, accomplishment. Those are my guesses. It's okay to disagree. There's no black and white thing here, of course. But my guess would be it's a bit of accomplishment. Obviously, we're celebrating with 40 items completed, but also hey. Isn't it time for cake? let's celebrate that together. That's gamification. You see, there were no points and leaderboards anywhere in these examples, but this is all how you can gamify your work. So, recap, last couple of minutes. We all want agility at scale. I saw that in the beginning. I asked you 3 questions. You all raised your hands. Everyone wants this. That means that organizations have to change faster, more easily. I think the shapeshifter is a nice metaphor. We want them to change shape more easily. Holacracy is having a good contribution. So the Spotify model is a good contribution. But introducing those ideas, we have to be more effective at that as coaches, consultants, and speakers and writers. And I must admit, we are really, really bad at getting ideas from one brain to the other so that they are habits. We're just shouting at each other, basically, metaphorically speaking. So we need to learn how to do that better. I think agility is self-balanced, not self-organized, because sometimes you have to take back control, right? Sometimes you give it and then you take it back. When the ship is sinking, the captain takes charge and decides who leaves the ship first. We're not going to dot vote with everyone, right? About who is taking which boat. I want to turn big picture frameworks into small picture roadworks. Everything should be under construction, full of good ideas, but let's ignore the framework part, put all the ideas on the improvement backlog, and start pulling. But turn them into tiny habits. We don't need frameworks, we need fun and fireworks. That's the gamification part. That's how we get the cycle to work in the habit forming cycle. And the rules should become habits. The rules are what computers follow, right? But what human beings follow are the rules in our head, and we call them habits, not rules. Rules are on paper. So for us, rules are our habits that we follow. Even subconsciously, we do the things we do because that's how we always did them. That's how agility works, I think, for large and small organizations. And I'm doing a lot more research into this. By the way, the summary is on this slide, so if you've been sleeping for an hour, you can just take a picture and and learn this off the top of your head. But I'm doing a bit of research. I started a new project, and the next book is going to be released next year, I hope. April, I am aiming for. Startup, Scale Up, Screw Up is the title. I like the title. But interesting anecdote, I had a fight with my publisher just last week over the title, because they said, Jurgen, this is not going to sell in the US. In the US, they want things to end positively. So Screw Up should be in the middle. Startup, Screw Up, Scale Up. I said, that makes no sense whatsoever. You're born, you grow up, you die. What's your problem? Okay? It's the same with the movie industry. Like, all the European movies are depressing, right? And in the end, everyone dies. And that's how we like it. And in Hollywood movies, there's always a happy end. Everything happy ends happy. Nobody dies, ultimately, at the end. So, but I did a split test. I said, okay, let's be very agile here. Let's use data. In God we believe. Everyone else has to bring data. So I did a split test across my readers on my mailing list. I sent half of them one cover. I sent half of them the other cover. I checked the curiosity rates that they asked for. And what do you know? We are both right. The North Americans preferred the title with Screw Up in the middle, not at the end. The rest of the world wants the word at the end, more than in the middle. So I said, I win, because we're optimizing global sales, not just in the US. If you want to have... Thank you so much. I said to the publisher, if you want to have a specific North American release, be my guest. And then we optimize for the US and the rest of the world. I would be happy with that. But anyways, that's how you work nowadays, right? As startup, scale up, you use data. That's also part of agility. Where is the evidence? So that you can be very flexible in your decisions. Anyways, more to come. If you're interested, just sign up for my mailing list. I will share all the stories. And we'll be happy for some beta readers and feedback, etc. while I'm writing. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you have a great day the rest of the day here at Agile Austria.
Sorry for the trouble. Sorry for the computer problems. These things happen.
So, thank you very much. I know we are very hard on the time box. Are there any questions for Jurgen?
Oh, we have question time? All right, good.
Well, if you want to answer them, you still can say no.
You'll have to chase me away. Any questions?
If the mental capacity.
We want coffee. Okay. I'm happy to answer questions in the hallway. I don't see anyone raising their hand, so I'll be walking around. Feel free to come.
Happy coffee break.
Enjoy your break.